Over 90% of programmers are using AI in their job. CEOs are replacing programmers with coding agents like Claude Code. But is that a mistake? In today's video, I'll be ranking a bunch of different AI's ability to create a 3D racing game to see if we're truly cooked. Now, we all know about AI coding agents. At first, it was the autocomplete, then the chat. But now it's the agent. It's all about the agents. Letting AI talk to itself for hours until it decided it broke your code base enough. I'll be using OpenCode to test these out, so let's just get started. Create a fully playable 3D racing game in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Requirements: use Three.js for 3D graphics. Implement a racing car that the player controls like all true gamers do. Create a looping racetrack with visible boundaries, walls. Add acceleration, deceleration, and turning speed indicator on screen. Add at least 3 AI opponent cars that race around the track. Collision detection between all cars and tracks. A lap counter that tracks 3 laps to win. The big boy on the block, GPT-5. Fun fact, you actually have to verify your identity with this in order to use it. You know, the racing game could lead to serious federal felonies. Now, GPT-5 actually took a very long time, and at times it just didn't really understand how to fix the issue, like at all. A big issue was that it was just not able to understand my instructions and then differentiate between what my instructions should do. So I just don't even know about this one. Overall though, it costs about $3.53. And so for a large language model, that's pretty good price, all said and do. But I did feel like I had to hold his hand for a lot of the results that I didn't even want in the end anyway. Maybe they'll fix this in the upcoming update, but let's see. Sonnet 4 is one of the most popular large language models for these type of tasks. However, it took a very long time to get the result that I wanted. It cost me $2.77, and it was just a buggy mess throughout, and it took multiple attempts to do it as well. Opus 4.1 is a very, very beefy model and very, very expensive. Something I noticed right off the bat is that I got charged 21 cents just to make a plan on how they should work. Now, this came obviously, it sucks. It's not really good, but it was actually kind of fun playing the game and doing it while the agent was making changes in the background. I would always have like a new version ready to play. It was like kind of like a WarioWare or something. It was honestly interesting. Gemini 2.5 Pro was really cheap in terms of pricing. However, it did take a lot of creative liberties, which I'm honestly not too mad about. It kind of did like a micro machine style game, which I thought was pretty cool. The code quality was questionable. It separated the user car and AI car into separate files despite using classes. And like, I'm not a game dev here, right? But this doesn't seem like really efficient whatsoever. And for the most part, I liked things being in separate files, but maybe in folders too, you know, like not everything has to be in one giant folder. The one thing though is that I tried to change the look of it, and then everything just broke with this loading screen, and it just really couldn't even recover from there. But that being said, I am somewhat impressed by Gemini 2.5 Pro, but at the same time, felt like it completely shot itself in the foot and was unable to walk after that. So yeah. To run some of these models locally, I'm going to use Windows AI Foundry, who is the sponsor of today's video. Windows AI Foundry is a platform to help you build applications from selecting models, fine-tuning, and deploying across different hardware and cloud providers. There are Windows AI APIs that you can use to integrate large language models into your application natively, while having an easy solution to switch to a cloud model if needed. PhiSilica is a 3.3 billion parameter model that is capable of tasks requiring text intelligence. Foundry Local lets you integrate open source models from places like Azure AI, Foundry, or Hugging Face to run locally on your device, while taking advantage of your hardware to accelerate, whether that's a GPU, an NPU, or a CPU. Windows ML allows you to take custom models and run it directly on your machine with hardware acceleration. Your code will then run natively on the CPU, GPU, and NPU. So whether you want to just test out AI locally, like me, on your machine, or start getting deep in the integration process of these AI models with your applications, Windows AI Foundry is the platform to get your AI app started quickly. Thanks again to Microsoft for sponsoring today's video. DeepSeek R1 just took forever, but wow, the price was basically nothing. But I mean, like, you're spending money to get nothing either. One issue though is that it just constantly kept running into bugs that I just wasn't able to fix. I had to go into the code myself at times and play around with it to get it to just work, to even just get off of a loading screen. Can you believe that? Coding with Lewis actually had to do some coding on his channel for once. Qwen3 Coder is one of the most popular open source models in agents right now. This model is too beefy for a regular consumer device, but you can get lightning speeds on specific networks. Now, this model got really ambitious with everything. It included a quick race, a championship, a garage feature, like this is GTA 6. Don't make any mistakes. The issue is that it didn't really get the core gameplay right, which, you know, always focus on mechanics first. That's what the game devs told me. And that's something I'm noticing a lot right now with these models. I think part of it is just hard for the feedback loop that it's getting. It can't really play the game, even when you're adding like these Playwright MCP servers and stuff. It just isn't doing it the same way. But overall though, I could see this being a huge help if you already built a game, which is why I love the coding agents to begin with. Now let's use GPT-OSS 20B from Foundry Local. Let's just run that on the command line and get going. GPT-OSS 20B runs lightning fast when you do it locally. You also just don't have to worry about the latency either. This model does require like 16 gigabytes of VRAM though, so take that in mind. Now, this didn't really exactly get anything that I wanted correctly, but it somehow kind of made a fun game on its own, which, I mean, I'm not too mad about. This model would definitely be better suited for something like an autocomplete in your code editor or Word document. GPT-OSS 120B did a little bit better than the 20 billion parameters one. I mean, it's got 100 more billion parameters, right? But still had issues trying to get the controls to work. But similarly, it had a new game that was a lot of fun, like throwing the red brick around, but this time the camera follows it. Something I do like is that the physics feel great in these models, which might also just come from the native implementation of Three.js, but I mean, who knows? Qwen3 Coder 30B runs extremely fast on a computer. However, this also takes a lot of VRAM. Something I really like about this model is that it's trained to work on these agentic type of workflows. And this one actually did pretty well. I really enjoy the look that it had. It was a little bit more complex than the other one, but I guess the final result was still a bit strange, you know, and it did struggle. This one had a lot of hand-holding to do, which I'm not a fan. Something I learned is that when it comes to actually creating things full on, the only thing that AI is great at is giving you a starting point. A lot of people are worried about AI taking our jobs. But really, I think AI has just proven to be a great tool that will improve your productivity as a developer. And this is why I think local large language models are going to be so useful considering the speed, intelligence, and privacy. If you want to run local AI models, make sure you check out Windows AI Foundry and use Foundry Local to run them in your command line. What models would you want to see next? Let me know.